Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that will change your life if you let it. You don't have a money problem, a mindset problem. See, most people walk around thinking, if I could just make more money, all my problems would go away. They wouldn't. If you took all the money in the world and divided up evenly among every person on earth, it would eventually end up right back in the hands of the people who have the mindset to handle it. Why? Because wealth isn't about how much money you have in your hand. It's about how much wisdom you have in your head. Money doesn't change you, it exposes you. If you're broke with a poverty mindset, more money will only magnify that brokenness. If you're wealthy and you're thinking, even a little bit of money in your hand will multiply because you'll know how to work it, grow it, and send it out to bring back more. ChatGPT said most people believe their financial struggles come from not having enough money. But the truth is that money doesn't solve money problems, mindset does. You can hand $1 million to someone with a poverty mindset and within months they'll be broke again. Why? Because their thinking has not been trained to create, manage, and multiply wealth. They might have money in their hand, but their mind is still operating out of lack, fear, and limitation. On the other hand, give someone with a wealth mindset a small amount of money and they'll find a way to multiply it. The difference isn't the amount. The difference is how they think about money. Money is neutral. It doesn't have power in of itself. It doesn't jump out of your wallet and spend itself, and it doesn't automatically grow when you leave it sitting in a bank account. Money is a tool, and tools only work when they're placed in skilled hands. If you put a hammer in the hands of someone who doesn't know how to build, they might injure themselves or break something valuable. But put that same hammer in the hands of a master builder, and they'll construct something beautiful. Money works the same way. Without the mindset to steward and multiply it, it becomes a source of stress instead of a source of growth. People often they need to get more money before they can start making better decisions. That's backward. You have to make better decisions first, and then more money will begin to flow to you. If you can't manage a 100 wisely, why would $1 thousands make a difference? The habits and disciplines you have with little are the same will carry when you have much. If you're constantly overspending, borrowing, and chasing instant gratification, you'll only do it on a larger scale when the amount increases. The issue is not the income, it's the inner programming. This is why lottery winners often go bankrupt within a few years. They receive a sudden influx of money, but their mindset remains the same. They spend without thinking, invest in things they don't understand, and trust people who don't have their best interests at heart. The result is predictable. The money leaves as quickly as it came. Contrast that with self-made millionaires who lose everything but bounce back even stronger. It's not because they're lucky. It's because they've developed a wealth mindset that knows how to attract opportunities, create value, and rebuild no bill no matter the circumstance. A mindset shift begins when you stop seeing money to chase and start seeing it as a servant of purpose. When you understand that money is attracted to value, they strengthen that you'll spend less time worrying about how to get it and more time focusing on how to grow yourself. Your mindset determines your financial thermostat. If your internal setting is low, you'll unconsciously sabotage opportunities to increase wealth because you don't feel worthy of more. If your mindset is set to abundance, you'll find ways to create, save, and invest even in difficult times. The challenge is that most people were raised with limiting beliefs about money. They heard phrases like, money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy, or we can't afford that. These statements get embedded into the subconscious mind and create a scarcity mentality. That mentality leads to fear-based decisions, hoarding money instead of investing it, refusing to take calculated risks, or envying those who succeed financially. To shift out of this cycle, you must first become aware of the lies you've believed about money and replace them with truth. Money is not evil. The love of money is. Wealth is not reserved for a select few. They see the strength. It's available to anyone. Renew their mind and take responsibility for their financial growth. You don't rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your mindset. This is why personal development is more important than chasing the next paycheck or promotion. As you grow in wisdom, discipline, and vision, your financial capacity expands. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You stop looking for quick fixes and start building long-term systems that create wealth. The mindset comes first. The money follows. Poverty is not a lack of resources, it's a lack of vision. When people think about poverty, they often picture empty wallets, unpaid bills, and struggling to make ends meet. But true poverty begins in the mind long before it shows up in the bank account. A person can have access to opportunities, tools, and even money, but if they can't see beyond their current circumstances, they'll stay stuck in the same cycle year after year. Vision is the ability to see possibilities that don't yet exist. It's what allows a person to look at a small seed and imagine a vast forest. Without vision, even abundance can look like scarcity. The greatest challenge with a poverty mindset is that it convinces you there's never enough. It says things like, I could do more if I had more, or people like me will never get ahead. This thinking blinds people to the opportunities around them. Two people can live in the same environment and face the same challenges. One sees obstacles everywhere and gives up before they start. The other sees opportunities hidden inside those same challenges and finds ways to create value. The difference isn't external, it's internal. The one who succeeds has trained their mind to look beyond lack and focus on potential. Vision gives birth to creativity. When you have vision, you stop asking, what can I afford? And start asking, what can I create? People trapped in a poverty mindset often wait for someone else to open a door for them. They hope for a raise, a handout, or a lucky break. But visionaries build their own doors. They take the gifts, talents, and skills they have and multiply them. They understand that wealth doesn't come from wishing. It comes from working with wisdom and intention. Without vision, effort feels pointless because you can't see where it's leading. With vision, every small step becomes part of a bigger picture. One reason vision is so powerful is that it determines how you handle what you already have. Someone with a poverty mindset might complain about having only a little and fail to use it wisely. But someone with vision sees even a small amount as seed to be planted. They use their time, energy, and resources strategically, knowing that today's discipline creates tomorrow's harvest. Poverty isn't about what's missing in your hand, it's about what's missing in your head. Limiting beliefs passed down through families and communities can reinforce this lack of vision. They see, if you grew up hearing statements like people like us will never be rich, or don't dream too big or you'll be disappointed, it can feel natural to shrink your expectations to fit your circumstances. But the truth is that your circumstances are not permanent. They are only a reflection of how you've thought and acted up to this point. Change your thinking and your actions will change. Change your actions and your outcomes will change. Vision also impacts the way you view challenges. A poverty mindset sees challenges as confirmation that success is impossible. A visionary mindset sees challenges as an invitation to grow stronger and smarter. Every obstacle carries within it the seed of innovation. Without vision, you see the obstacle. With vision, you see the opportunity. This shift allows people to rise from humble beginnings and create extraordinary lives. They see history as full of people who started with nothing but a clear vision of what they want to create. They refuse to let their present reality define their future possibility. Resources alone won't solve poverty because mind is unprepared. The resources will be mismanaged and wasted. Vision is what teaches you how to use what you have wisely, multiply it, and make it last. They trains you to think generation instead of temporarily. It helps you shift from surviving to thriving because you can see beyond where you are right now. You don't get wealthy by working harder, but by thinking differently. Many people have been taught the key to financial success is to hustle more, grind longer, and outwork everyone around them. They believe that if they just put in enough hours, sacrifice enough sleep, and push through enough exhaustion, eventually wealth will show up. But the reality is hard work alone has never created lasting wealth. There are countless people working multiple jobs, putting in endless hours, and still struggling to make ends meet. The difference between the wealthy and the overworked is not effort, it's perspective and strategy. Working harder keeps you on a treadmill where the scenery never changes. It feels productive because you're constantly moving, but you're not advancing. The wealthy understand that time is a limited resource, and no matter how hard you work, you can't create more hours in a day. Instead of trying to do everything themselves, they focus on creating systems, leveraging relationships, and investing in assets that produce income without requiring constant labor. They know that wealth is built when money starts working for you, not when you're always working for money. The mindset that equates hard work with wealth is deeply ingrained in many cultures. People are praised for burning the midnight oil, for sacrificing their health and families in the name of providing, for wearing exhaustion like a badge of honor. But if effort alone created wealth, the hardest working people on earth would be the richest. Wealth doesn't respond to how much sweat you pour out. It responds to how effectively you think, plan, and execute. Thinking differently allows you to step off the treadmill and start building the road to financial freedom. Thinking differently begins with asking better questions. Instead of asking, how can I earn more? The wealthy ask, can I create more value? Instead of asking, how can I work more hours? They ask, how can I make my hours work for me? This shift opens the door to innovation and creativity. It moves you from trading time for money into building systems that generate income even when you're not present. True wealth is never created in the hours you work. It's created in the ideas you develop and the strategies you implement. Leverage is one of the key principles that separate wealth builders from the overworked. Leverage means using other people's time, talents, and resources to multiply your own. It's understanding that you don't have to know or do everything yourself. You can partner with others, delegate responsibilities, and invest in tools and technologies that expand your capacity. A person with a different mindset sees leverage not as laziness, but as wisdom. They know that their job is not the entire load, but to design a system that carries the load for them. Working harder can also trap people in a cycle of survival. When your energy is consumed by constant labor, you have no margin left for thinking, planning, or creating. The poverty mindset says, I can't afford to stop working or I won't make it. The wealth mindset says, I can't afford not to stop and think or I'll never grow. Thinking differently requires stepping back from the grind long enough to evaluate what's working, what's not, and where opportunities for growth exist. It's in these moments of reflection that breakthrough ideas are born. Many people confuse business with productivity. They believe as long as they're exhausted at the end of the day, they're moving forward. But business can be a trap if it keeps you too distracted to notice that you're running in circles. The wealthy value results over effort. They measure success not by how hard they worked, but by how effective they multiplied what they had. They are willing to do the hard mental work of creating plans, making investments, and taking calculated risks that most people avoid because it feels uncomfortable. When you think differently, you stop looking at money as something to earn only through toil and start seeing it as a tool to create freedom. You begin to understand that the goal is not to work until you die, but to design a life where your income is no longer tied to your physical presence. You recognize that the most valuable asset you have is not your time or energy, but your ability to think strategically and act wisely. You don't get wealthy by working harder, but by thinking differently. Many people have been taught that the key to financial success is to hustle more, grind longer, and outwork everyone around them. They believe that if they just put in enough hours, sacrifice enough sleep, and push through enough exhaustion, eventually wealth will show up. But the reality is hard work alone has never created lasting wealth. There are countless people working multiple jobs, putting in endless hours, and still struggling to make ends meet. The difference between the wealthy and the overworked is not effort, it's perspective and strategy. Working harder keeps you on a treadmill where the scenery never changes. It feels productive because you're constantly moving, but you're not advancing. The wealthy understand that time is a limited resource, and no matter how hard you work, you can't create more hours in a day. Instead of trying to do everything themselves, they focus on creating systems. The leveraging relationships and investing in assets that produce income without requiring constant labor. They know that wealth is built when money starts working for you, not when you're always working for money. The mindset that equates hard work with wealth is deeply ingrained in many cultures. People are praised for burning the midnight oil, for sacrificing their health and families in the name of providing, for wearing exhaustion like a badge of honor. But if effort alone created wealth, the hardest working people on earth would be the richest. Wealth doesn't respond to how much sweat you pour out. It responds to how effectively you think, plan, and execute. Thinking differently allows you to step off the treadmill and start building the road to financial freedom. Thinking differently begins with asking better questions. Instead of asking, how can I earn more? The wealthy ask, how can I create more value? Instead of asking, how can I work more hours? They ask, how can I make my hours work for me? This shift opens the door to innovation and creativity. It moves you from trading time for money into building systems that generate income even when you're not present. True wealth is never created in the hours you work. It's created in the ideas you develop and the strategies you implement. And leverage is one of the key principles that separate wealth builders from the overworked. Leverage means using other people's time, talents, and resources to multiply your own. It's understanding that you don't have to know or do everything yourself. You can partner with others, delegate responsibilities, and invest in tools and technologies that expand your capacity. A person with a different mindset sees leverage not as laziness but as wisdom. They know that their job is not to carry the entire load, but to design a system that carries the load for them. Working harder can also trap people in a cycle of survival. When your energy is consumed by constant labor, you have no margin left for thinking, planning, or creating. The poverty mindset says, I can't afford to stop working or I won't make it. The wealth mindset says, I can't afford not to stop and think or I'll never grow. Thinking differently requires stepping back from the grind long enough to evaluate what's working, what's not, and where opportunities for growth exist. It's in these moments of reflection that breakthrough ideas are born. Many people confuse business with productivity. They believe as long as they're exhausted at the end of the day, they're moving forward. But business can be a trap if it keeps you too distracted to notice that you're running in circles. The wealthy value results over effort. They measure success not by how hard they worked, by how effectively they multiplied what they had. They are willing to do the hard mental work of creating plans, making investments, and taking calculated risks that most people avoid because it feels uncomfortable. When you think differently, you stop looking at money as something to earn only through toil and start seeing it as a tool to create freedom. You begin to understand that the goal is not to work until you die, but to design a life where your income is no longer tied to your physical presence. You recognize that the most valuable asset you have is not your time or energy, but your ability to think strategically and act wisely. Money flows to those who know how to multiply it, not those who only know how to spend it. Most people have been conditioned to think that the purpose of money is consumption. The moment they receive a paycheck or any extra income, they see their first thought is how to spend it. They make a list of things, bills to pay and experiences to enjoy. While there is nothing wrong with spending money, This habit keeps people trapped in a cycle where money comes in and goes out with nothing left to show for it. Multipliers, on the other hand, see money differently. They understand that every dollar is a seed, and when planted wisely, it has the potential to grow into a harvest that continues producing more seeds. The spender's mindset is focused on instant gratification. When money comes into their hands, they feel an urgent need to reward themselves for their hard work. They look for ways to upgrade their lifestyle, believing that a higher income automatically justifies higher expenses. This is why so many people live paycheck to paycheck, even after receiving promotions or raises. As their income grows, so does their spending, leaving no room for growth. They fail to realize that money is not just for spending, it is a tool for building, creating, and expanding. Without this awareness, they remain consumers in an economy designed to reward producers. Those who multiply money operate from a very different paradigm. When money enters their hands, they don't immediately think of spending it. They ask, how can I make this work for me? How can I turn 1 into 2, 2 and 4 and 4, 8? They see money as an employee, not a master. Every dollar has a job, and its job is to grow. This perspective allows them to prioritize investing over consuming. Instead of spending on depreciating assets like clothes, gadgets, or luxury items, they put their money into appreciating assets like businesses, stocks, real estate, and intellectual property. Multipliers also understand the power of delayed gratification. They are willing to sacrifice short-term pleasures for long-term gains. This doesn't mean they never enjoy their money, but they recognize that if they build a strong financial foundation first, the time will come when they can enjoy far greater abundance without fear or stress. Their focus is on creating streams of income that flow to them whether they work or not. They move beyond trade-on for money and build systems that keep producing wealth even in their absence. Education plays a key role in the ability to multiply money. Many spenders lack financial literacy and make decisions out of ignorance. They don't understand how interest, taxes, investments, and compounding work. As a result, they become victims of financial traps like high-interest debt, impulse buying, and get-rich-quick schemes. Multipliers, however, commit to learning how money works. They study wealth principles, seek mentorship, and are willing to acquire the skills necessary to grow their resources. They understand that financial success is not accidental. It is intentional and requires wisdom. Another distinguishing trait of multiplier is their ability to think long-term. They don't just focus on their immediate needs or desires. They think generationally. They ask themselves how the financial decisions they make today will impact their children and their children's children. This mindset leads to building legacies instead of living only for the moment. When they invest, they consider not just the potential returns for themselves, but also the systems and structures they can leave behind to empower others. This perspective sets them apart from those who see money as something to be consumed as quickly as is earned. Money itself is neutral. In the hands of spenders, it flows out and disappears, leaving them with memories but no momentum. In the hands of multipliers, it grows, creates opportunities, and attracts even more money. This is why wealth continues to flow to those who already understand how to manage and multiply it. It is not a matter of luck or privilege. It is a matter of perspective and practice. The ability to multiply money is not a gift reserved for a select few. It is a skill that anyone can learn, but only if they are willing to shift from a consumer mindset to an investor's mindset. Your income will never exceed your identity. Every person carries an internal blueprint that dictates what they believe they are capable of earning, keeping, and growing. This blueprint acts like a financial thermostat. No matter how much money flows into their life, if their identity is not aligned with abundance, they will unconsciously find ways to lose it, sabotage, or shrink it back down to match their self-image. People think their problem is external, low wages, lack of opportunities, economic systems, but the deeper issue is internal. If you don't see yourself as someone who creates wealth, manages it wisely, and multiplies it effectively, you will never rise above the limits you have set for yourself. Identity shapes behavior, and behavior shapes results. When a person identifies as poor, even subconsciously, they make choices consistent with that identity. They spend impulsively because they don't believe they are capable of building lasting wealth. They avoid opportunities that could increase their income because they assume those opportunities are for other people. They may even reject financial success when it comes because it feels foreign or uncomfortable. This is why people who suddenly acquire wealth through inheritance, lottery winnings, or a big windfall often return to their original financial state within a short period. Their income temporarily outgrew their identity, but their self-image pulled them back down. Those shift their identity, develop an entirely different relationship with money. They no longer see wealth as something external that they are chasing, but as an extension of who they are becoming. They believe they are worthy of success, capable of growth, and responsible enough to handle abundance. This belief doesn't come from arrogance, it comes from alignment with purpose. When you see yourself as a steward of resources rather than a consumer of them, your decisions start reflecting that identity. You naturally look for ways to create value, solve problems, and leave an impact because it's who you are, not just what you do. Changing your identity requires confronting and rewriting the stories you've told yourself about money. And many people grew up hearing phrases like, money doesn't grow on trees. We're not the kind of people who get rich. Or if I have more, someone else will have less. These messages sink deep into the subconscious and become part of their identity. They create ceilings that limit how far a person believes they can go financially. Breaking through those ceilings isn't just about learning new financial skills. It's about adopting a new sense of self. It's about declaring, I am the kind of person who creates wealth, manages it wisely, and multiplies it for future generations. Your identity also determines how you respond to challenges and opportunities. A person with a scarcity identity will see challenges as proof that they're not meant to succeed. They'll avoid risk because they fear losing the little they have. A person with an abundance identity will see challenges as opportunities to grow stronger and smarter. They take calculated risks because they believe they can recover, learn, and come back even stronger if things don't go as planned. This difference in identity creates vastly different financial trajectories over time. Wealth is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the kind of person you become. If you focus only on increasing income without expanding your identity, you'll keep running into invisible walls. But when you grow your mindset, habits, and sense of self-worth, your capacity to handle wealth expands with it. You don't just get more money. You become the kind of person who can sustain and multiply it. The transformation happens from the inside out. And once your identity changes, your external results begin to align. Stop chasing money and start building capacity for wealth. Most people spend their entire lives running after money as if it were a finish line they could eventually cross and finally rest. They believe that if they can just earn enough, save enough, or hustle hard enough, they will arrive at a place of financial freedom. But chasing money keeps you in a cycle of scarcity. It focuses on the external instead of the internal. Money is not something to chase. It's something to attract by becoming the kind of person who can handle, grow, and sustain it. True wealth is never about how much you can grab. It's about how much capacity you've developed to receive and multiply it. Chasing money creates a reactive life. People jump from one opportunity to the next looking for quick gains and instant results. They get pulled into schemes and shortcuts, hoping to bypass the process of growth. This mindset often leads to burnout, disappointment, even financial loss because the focus is on getting rather than growing. Money is like water. It flows to the lowest point. If you haven't developed a container strong enough to hold it, no matter how much flows in, it will leak out. Building capacity means enlarging your ability to manage, multiply, and sustain wealth so that when it comes, it doesn't overwhelm you or slip through your fingers. Capacity begins with mindset. If you think small, you will handle money small. Even if you get more, your decisions will shrink your finances back to the level of your thinking. Building capacity requires expanding your vision, your knowledge, and your discipline. It means asking yourself difficult questions about how you've handled resources in the past and being willing to change. It means developing habits that prepare you for the next level instead of waiting until you get there. If you can't manage 1,000 wisely, you won't manage $1, 1,000 any better. The size of your bank account will always rise or fall to match the size of your capacity. People who build capacity don't just focus on how to make money, they focus on how to create value. They understand that money is a byproduct of solving problems and serving others at a higher level. Instead of ask, how can I get more? They ask, how can I become more? They invest in their skills, relationships, and understanding of how wealth works. They study financial principles, learn how to leverage opportunities, and build systems that generate income even when they are not actively working. Capacity is also about emotional and spiritual maturity. If you lack discipline, money will amplify your lack of discipline. If you are fearful, more money will increase your anxiety because now you have more to lose. If you are driven by greed, more money will intensify that greed, leading you into destructive decisions. Building capacity means strengthening your character so that you can handle abundance without being controlled by it. It requires shifting from a consumer mindset to a stewardship mindset where you see money as a tool to accomplish purpose rather than an idol to worship. Many people believe wealth comes from doing more, but wealth actually flows from becoming more. When you grow in wisdom, you naturally make better financial decisions. When you grow in vision, you see opportunities that others overlook. When you grow in discipline, you create systems and habits that protect and multiply what you have. Chasing money is exhausting because it assumes money is outside of you running away and you have to catch it. Building capacity is empowering because it shifts the focus inward where true wealth creation begins.